The UK has reached a boiling point and it is about to explode. Ladies and gentlemen, have I got a story or a live stream for you today? You know, over the past few weeks, I want you to think about this. Over the past few weeks then, towns across England have been just erupting. We've seen, or we probably haven't seen for most people, all of these protests that have been going on. You know, this is from Epping, where it started, to London. It's gone to all the northern cities now. And this is all over these hotels. I'll try my best to use keywords as we go along because of now the suppression that's gone through with the online act to YouTube, who is now getting pressured by the UK government not to promote certain videos or to suppress certain videos. We really are living in a tyrannical society now. So if you wonder why I'm using keywords as we go through, it's so that the AI algorithm doesn't pick up on what I'm actually talking about. So this is spreading like wildfire now. We're seeing these protests everywhere. And it's not just the typical people you would see protesting, right, anymore. It's everybody now. Everybody, if you're watching these streams, is starting to go to the streets. Now, the reason you may not be seeing this is because it's being suppressed. And we'll come on to that. I have really gone down the rabbit hole today. I've done a lot of research for you as well on some of these charities or these groups that just turn up all with the same placards that get police escorts. They all turn up at these protests and they're all wearing these masks. You know, they're usually black masks and they've got all the gear and everything else. Obviously, I said it from the beginning, it's paid. Something's going on there. And I've done the research today, and guess what I found? Exactly that. So I'll prove all this to you very, very shortly, because I have looked into these organizations. And I'll just give you a quick example of what I'm talking about here. If we go to, hold on, there we go. So if you see these sort of groups here, it's always the same people. They're all the same, all the protests. There's a prime example there, this guy. They've all got these masks on. These are some of the videos. They've all got the same signs all the time. Refugees welcome, stop the far right, stop the far right. You know, all these things have been designed. They get handed out. Okay, so let's do a little bit of research here then. Here we go. So I looked into, and by the way, let me just say, I went on all of these sites today, these very, very hard left sites in the UK. And I even watched some of these meetings and these Zooms and these videos. I went through all of these documents and everything else. It was a very hard day reading through all this because I had the question, I'm saying, what is it that motivates someone to go to a peaceful protest where something very serious has happened to a young girl and people are peacefully protesting? They're not violent or anything like that. They're peacefully protesting. What causes a group of individuals to get an escort, first of all, to the march, but then to antagonize not just the parents, but the family members and friends around? What sort of a person would do that? Are these really peaceful, kind, caring people? No, it's an oxymoron. Of course they're not. It makes no logical sense. So I was trying to follow this today and try and get a perspective as to what is going on there. What is the mindset of some of these people? I strongly believe a lot of them are simply paid. I think a lot of them have serious mental health issues. Won't even go into that, but I think a lot of them are seriously paid. It's the only conclusion I can come up with, because there was really 2 points that I got from these websites. And then I'm going to go through the finances and the accounts and everything else in a second. So there's 2 main points. It was a humanitarian perspective. They kept saying these desperate families, women and children fleeing war. They kept saying this over and over again. So all I did was I looked up all of the boats and I just came up with loads of these images of the boats. I think this was probably one of the best ones here. And again, it makes no rational, logical sense. These people are from all over the world. You know, they are. Look, these people are white guys here. You can see straight away some of them. They're from all over the world. So it's not what they keep talking about. where they keep saying, oh, it's desperate women and children. These boats are not full of that. I'm sorry. I know some people are going to, flag the video, report the video and whatever else because they've got this cognitive dissonance going on. But that's what they're saying. They're saying it is these desperate families. They are men. And they're all pretty fit and strong if you look at these guys. The next one then is these were the only 2 points I found through all of the doctrine I was reading. It was cultural and political ideology. They mainly kept talking about these globalist values, World Economic Forum, borders should be open. I don't see any borders here. The irony is some of these signs I was seeing were actually on fences. Think about that for a second. It says, I don't see open borders and, I don't see borders here, do you? And it's like, it's on a fence. Your sign is on a fence. It's absolutely mind-blowing. So let me go through the other thing was diversity is valuable. I think there's a limit to that. There's a limit to diversity being valuable. I grew up in a very diverse area in Coventry. My best friend was from the Caribbean, right? My other friend was from India. He was, his parents had come over from India, my other friend was from, I had loads of different friends. I had a friend from China, couldn't speak a word of English when he first came to school. I grew up in a diverse culture. No issues at all. It's only because of what's going on at the minute that it's now become a big issue. Unchecked, crazy amounts coming over. So let's carry on. Let me get on to what I found then. So I went through all of this website. This is meant to be a group of people coming together. It's a charity, they say. It's a charity. How do we stop Farage, Tommy, and the far right? Well, it then says all welcome. Well, it's, again, that contradiction, but okay. So what I would say, you can go to these events. This one was last night, so you can't go to it. But it's at the Muslim Welfare House in Seven Sisters in London. So you can actually go to these meetings. And if you want the passcodes, it's on the website. So you can actually go to these meetings. You can get the passcodes. It's all on here on their website. And it shows you exactly where they're going to be going. You can find out all the meetings, everything. So here's what I did then. I wanted to look up this so-called charity. Guess what? It's not a charity. This is the government website. It is a private limited company, okay? And it's been going for a long, long time. We can go back all the way to 1995 when it was first incorporated. Now, it gets a little bit dark with certain things as well here, so I'm going to be very careful. But all I'd say is, if you would have a look at some of the officers. Companies do not have 41 officers and 32 resignations. So for those of you who want to do a little bit of research, who make your own videos, have a look into some of the people and cross-reference them with other companies and organizations, and you'll see a very disturbing pattern. Now then, what do I do best? What have I always done? It's accounting. Really going detailed into accounting. So here's what I found. This is their accounts information, and they buried this on page 36. Look at all this. This is all just photos and nonsense. They bury this all the way at the end at page 36. So here's what you want to know. We don't have this year's accounts yet, but last year, can you just see how much their funds were carried forward? It was over £1 million was carried forward. And a lot of this comes from donations. Where do these donations come from? They say, oh, we get small donations. Yes, grants and contracts. Now, when you start looking into the contracts a little bit more, there's also funding for training as well. So they get money for training. Who exactly are they training is the next question. So you really, if you are interested, you really want to look into some of these things and stop believing all the nonsense that you're hearing. I've got to the point now, I think as you get older, many of you are my age and older, you stop caring. You hear all this nonsense and you just go, okay, enough of that. You're talking absolute nonsense. We'll use that word. That is what you're talking. You don't know what you're talking about. And that's the point I've gotten to now. I used to be very polite about it. Oh, right, okay, well, if that's your opinion. But now people are just, and again, we'll get into the media in a second and how they and the government are deliberately suppressing all of this, and they are using very Machiavellian tactics against the populace. Now, real quickly, before we continue on with the video, if where are we? Yeah, okay. I wanted to just talk about the gold price at the moment, because people have said, Neil, why can't I get your gold course at the moment? So I'll tell you in a second. Over the last year, gold has actually surged 41%. And I've been talking about gold for a long time, because it's the ultimate protection for your money, your savings, your wealth. Also silver. And I think there's a big move coming up very shortly. So people have been saying, why can't I actually get your course? Well, you can get the bundle of the Mastery Gold and Silver courses, but you just can't get the foundation on its own at the moment. So if you want to get the advanced course, or you want to get the bundle of both courses, they will teach you everything. We even cover pensions, how to put metals in your pension, or how to move your pension, and you can actually hold metals completely legally. We go through everything from technical analysis all the way through to fundamental analysis, how to actually buy it, all the different things you can buy, coins, bars, allocated, unallocated. We basically go through everything you could ever want to know about gold and silver. I highly, highly recommend, if you don't hold it, you start looking into it, because there's so many strategies for gold and silver. And I think it's crucial, especially, look what we're talking about here. Things are just erupting. So don't rely on all of this digital fiat currency and everything else that your pensions. I've done so many documentaries now on this Ponzi scheme, which is pensions. That is why people are pulling their pensions out of the system at the minute at a rapid, it's the fastest rate in history that people are pulling their money out of pensions right now, because the government was stupid enough to put out the reports that said there's no money left. They're going to be broke within however many years, these pension funds. So be very, very careful. But if you would like to get the gold and silver course, you can find the link below in the description. You'll get 90% off the bundle. And if you haven't got the foundation course, start with the advanced course, and it will come back on sale later. Now let's carry on. I want to talk about, there's a lot to go over here. There really is. What's triggered all of this, and what's triggered this boiling point? Well, they're saying it started with the Epping incident, what happened with the young girl. Well, actually, I would say it really started last year, and we could go back further, but it was the 29th of July 2024, where we had the mass incident with the 17-year-old and those beautiful young girls. Terrible, terrible incident, which we covered. The video was banned right away, so you can't even talk about that. And again, that's just another example of the state we live in now. But what has been happening now, between July 30th and the 5th of August, there were 29 protests that time. And you didn't really see much of it. You saw a few of them, but again, it was suppressed. Then by early August, the National Police Chiefs Council reported more than 1,280 arrests and hundreds of charges. Many of them were due to mean tweets, social media posts, even though we're supposed to have freedom of speech. And then you think this is over. It's not. I want to show you this. Here we go. This has just come out. A teacher has been sacked after criticising a two-tier justice in the Lucy Connolly case. So if you're not aware, the Lucy Connolly case, she made a post on X, and she was arrested and put in prison. And I covered that because at the time, her sentence was so severe for what she said, and there was all of these serious crimes, and they were getting suspended sentences because there was no space for prisoners. There was no prison space. So what they did, they released all of these prisoners, and then conveniently at the same time, there was all these spaces for all of the social media convicts. I mean, it's disturbing to me. So what we've really got right now is a continuation of what started last year. And this assault really was just the ignition. That's all it was. It was like you had a huge bale of straw and someone just lit it, but it was already there ready to go. So the government is in cahoots with the media. They are, because they're choosing to censor the protests. They're not giving them any coverage whatsoever. And the coverage that does come out is usually in response to a post going quite viral. It's really shocking how they approach it. And I've actually highlighted the words. They call these people that are peacefully protesting far-right agitators or right-wing extremists. Now, of course, these terms, if you think about them, what are they associated or categorized with? It's racism or Nazism or fascism and things like that. So it's very Machiavellian. It's very deliberate and very nasty. Machiavellian. You have Machiavellian Solomon. Solomon is more integral, honest, etc. The Machiavellian approach is win at all costs. It's like the end justifies the means. So if you need to lie and call people names and slander, even though it's not true, the end justifies the means. This is the mindset of this government. So what are the drivers of all of this anger then? What is it? It's immigration, illegal, unchecked, who are now committing a lot of crimes. And it's a fact. I don't care what anyone says. This is a fact. The data is on the government website as to these sort of crimes. You know the ones we're talking about. We'll use the word grapes, a bunch of grapes. These are the crimes. You can look. It actually publishes the data on who is doing these crimes. So this is, a lot of it, it's the economic strain, the asylum hotels, billions spent on this when the government is doing nothing at all. Absolutely nothing. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel real quick and leave me a comment as well. I want to know, am I off on this? Am I way off in my thinking? I mean, do you think, let me know. Do you think I'm off, or do you think I'm on point with it? Do you think these protests are going to grow? Do you think they're going to fade away? Is this the tipping point? What do you think, if you're in the UK or if you're not in the UK? What do you think from watching this from outside? And here's another thing that I found. This will anger you because it angered me when I saw this. This is the data that I collected today. You ready? Percentage of children in the UK in poverty. It's now 3.4 million children, last year is up, living in poverty, which equates to 23%. So it's up 3.4 million. Equates to 23% of all children in the UK now live in poverty. Fact. That is from the government website. This is from The Guardian. Material deprivation. This is unable to afford the basic necessities like food or clothing for your children is 28% now. How often parents are skipping meals because they can't afford food just so that their children can eat. I mean, this is heart-wrenching stuff. A recent survey by Homestart UK shows 48% of UK parents reported skipping meals just so their children can eat. 32% said they'd done so multiple times. Food poverty data indicates 11% of the UK population were now food insecure, including adults who are earning money. It's hard to read this stuff out. Child poverty, 1 in 4. Living in abject poverty. Food hardship is widespread. It's horrible, ladies and gents. This is just terrible. But let me just end with this, because people always say, well, give us a solution. What can we do about it? There is a lot that can be done about this. There is. And we've already started with the protests and everything else going on. There are, and I found some stuff for you on, you're not meant to share this stuff, but hey, I'm going to share it. Firstly, this is not going to work. Repeal the Online Safety Act. They've already rejected it. Call an immediate general election. It's not going to work. Why? I covered it before. We had 3 million signatures last time, and they said no. Even though they were supposed to debate it, they didn't. So what are options? Well, there's loads. There's websites you can go to. Usually it's on something like Facebook. The Great British National Protest. You can actually find these peaceful protests, ladies and gents, all over the place. You can actually find these peaceful protests where they are near you, because otherwise you're not even going to know these are taking place. No one even knows they're taking place. But I strongly recommend you do get involved. Peacefully protest, do whatever you need to do, because I feel that we're turning the corner now, and I think now is the time. All right. That's all I've got to say for today. Thanks for being a subscriber here. Take care. God bless. Have a look at the gold and silver course. You won't regret it. All right. Bye for now.